We have a final presentation this morning, another awardee that's very special to me. I remember taking many a phone call from Anita Weier when she was a reporter at the Capital Times here in Madison, when we used to have two actual print newspapers. The Capital Times has gone online. And we've been able to turn the tables and interview her because she has become quite an activist and a very significant, nationally significant activism. And to introduce her and tell you about that, we have our staff attorney, Patrick Elliott. He was our second staff attorney that we hired, and you're going to hear a little bit more about him when you come back from lunch. But come on up, Patrick.
Thank you. Anita Weier is well known in Madison as a reporter and former assistant city editor for the Capital Times newspaper. She has a journalism degree and a library and information studies master's from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She worked at the Las Vegas Sun, the Business Journal, the Janesville Gazette, before joining the Capital Times from 1994 to 2009. She's won many journalism awards and fellowships, including a first-place national award for the state government beat from the Association of Capitol Reporters and Editors. She served 2 terms in Madison as an alderperson from 2011 to 2015, and she went out with a bang. This spring, she introduced a historic ordinance in Madison to make non-religion a protected class. When we learned about the proposal, we contacted Alder Weier and went into action to support this important legislation to ensure that discrimination against atheists is not allowed. Andrew Seidel and I spoke at subcommittee meetings as well as meetings of the Madison Equal Opportunities Commission, for which Alder Weier was a member. Then, along with Annie Laurie and several FFRF members who are in Madison, we testified before the Common Council in support of the ordinance. Anita's first-of-its-kind ordinance passed on March 31st on a voice vote. And now we are working with chapters and others around the country to pass these ordinances in other locations where there are strong local civil rights protections that include protection for the class of religion. In the secular movement, we are often on the defensive. And Anita's brilliant ordinance to remedy an obvious inequity has given the secular movement a proactive and a positive, achievable goal. Anita, we are in your debt, and I'm honored on behalf of the Freedom from Religion Foundation to name you FFRF's 2015 Freethought Heroine.
Is that all right? That should be better. Okay. It is just wonderful to be here with so many kindred spirits. I love it. I decided to add non-religion as a protected class in Madison's Equal Opportunities Ordinance because the ordinance already protected religious people from discrimination, so it only seemed fair and equitable to protect the non-religious. A protected class is a group of people whom city officials believe needs protection from discrimination in housing, employment, or public accommodations. Madison's ordinance now lists 27 protected classes. We are a rather liberal place, including sex, race, color, national origin, citizenship status, age, handicap, marital status, arrest record or conviction record, sexual orientation, and others. I believe that discrimination against atheists and other non-religion people is widespread. affecting employment, public school practices, and selective price discounts. In Paris, 12 workers of an atheistic publication, Charlie Hebdo, were murdered. In Madison, the Freedom from Religion Foundation now does not publicize its address because of threats. A major study, Atheist as Other, published by the University of Minnesota in 2006, revealed that atheists are less likely to be accepted publicly and privately than any other from a long list of marginalized groups. The study looked at attitudes towards groups such as immigrants, racial minorities, gays, and Jews from the 1960s to the present, and found that every group had made gains in social acceptance, except atheists. More Americans would disapprove of their children marrying atheists than any other class. Locally, some businesses have offered discounts to those who show a church bulletin. The Freedom from Religion Foundation also has encountered refusals by companies to make T-shirts, print brochures, or post billboards. Last year, a television network refused to air an FFRF ad made by Ron Reagan. Therefore, I believe that atheists, agnostics, and humanists need to be protected when applying for jobs and housing and using public accommodations. As you know, the religious right has assumed substantial control over our state and federal governments, a situation that leaves the non-religious in a perilous situation. For instance, South Carolina's state law requires, quote, that the president of the university shall not be an atheist or infidel. Texas prohibits religious tests for public office, provided that the person acknowledges the existence of a supreme being. Imagine the fear if this had been done. Excuse me, I skipped something. That atheist parents have been denied custody of their children in several states, which would have caused a considerable objection if it had done because they were Jewish or Mormon. My first step in amending the ordinance was working with the city attorney to make an official proposal. I made a mistake in using the word atheist, which raises more ire than other terms. Also, I realized that non-religion would protect more people, so I amended the proposal. I also faced a time crunch since I would be leaving the council in April 2015, having decided not to run again. Frankly, because of dislike of atheists, I would not have introduced this measure if I had been running again. I waited until January to introduce the proposal because I did not believe that the Christmas season would be a good time. My amendment was first submitted to the City Council, which referred it to the Equal Opportunities Commission for a recommendation. The EOC, in turn, referred the proposal to its Employment Subcommittee. That committee approved the amendment with no opposition, though 2 members abstained, saying that their employers might not like their name connected to the proposal. I encountered more opposition at the Equal Opportunities Commission, where the vote was 5 in favor, 3 against, and 1 abstention. Opponents tended to be religious people. Then I started explaining my amendment to my fellow city council members. I was very encouraged by the immediate support from many, including a relatively conservative alder for Madison. Ultimately, 14 of 20 council members signed on to co-sponsor the measure, which I believe took some political courage. After testimony by 5 atheists and the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the council approved the measure unanimously on a voice vote. Though no one voted no or abstained, a few were silent. I was surprised to find that my amendment was a first. that no other localities had approved such a protection. I am extremely proud of our City Council for setting this important precedent. Should I do questions or not? I don't know about the time. Maybe just a couple. But if there aren't any, that's fine too. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. There are questions. My name is Cheryl Colby from Portland, Oregon, and we are in the process of attempting to do the same thing. We have decided who to contact. Unfortunately, none of us happen to be on the council. Maybe now isn't the time. I would love to have a chance to chat with you about any recommendations you might have on pitfalls, advantages, how to go about it, and to get your contact information. Perhaps I could link with you afterwards.
Oh, that would be
But
fine.
do you have any comments in general about?
I just have to say that Portland and Madison go back and forth on a lot of things.
Yeah.
We always seem to be traveling out there to see how you're doing something progressive. So.
Oh, good.
Hi. I'm just curious if you got any pushback from some of the other protected groups, sort of the effect of like, not so much anti-unbeliever as much as it demeans the status of African Americans because we had slavery, that kind of thing.
No, a few people did say we're getting a little ridiculous about this because we're protecting literally everybody, but that's fine. Okay.
Oh, there's one more.
Two questions. First, what has there been any reaction in the press? And also, has your action catalyzed similar actions in other county, cities, any other kind of government where protection of non-believer class would be appropriate?
Well, I did receive a lot of press attention, including the Wall Street Journal, various others, which was interesting, and I was glad it happened. I did receive contacts from atheists in a few states who said they would like to try to do the same thing and thank me for doing it. I got many thank yous from
Yeah, well, thank
that
you
way.
very much for your action.
Thank you.